I've kind of like steered into gacha games recently because honestly, and as sad as I have to say this, the MMO genre is kind of stagnant and almost completely dead. I think that companies, as of the last year, have begun to realize that sex sells and that a character's sex appeal is going to 100% affect how much that character makes, and then how much your game is going to make, and that is going to determine whether your game is a success or not. Because they want to control the narrative, and a lot of studios, for whatever reason, have this weird impression that they understand your audience better than you do. Whenever I do polls for the big booba waifu characters, my viewership quintuples. So there are so many people that are sitting there just waiting to see my reaction when the waifu appears on the screen. And then immediately when I obtain the waifu, they all just leave.
Hey everybody, welcome to this week's Fateless podcast episode. Joining me from the Fateless team is going to be Dirk and Sham, and then our special guest is going to be STIX. Go ahead and introduce yourself and let people know kind of what you do and the whole spiel about your gaming journey.
All right, I am both an MMO gamer and a gacha gamer. I've been playing MMOs since 2004. Been gaming since I was like 10 years old when I bought my first PlayStation. I've kind of like steered into gacha games recently because honestly, and as sad as I have to say this, the MMO genre is kind of stagnant and almost completely dead. So gacha games have kind of stolen and eclipsed the MMO genre overall, and therefore, if I want to maintain or retain any kind of relevancy and continue to have a job, I needed to kind of refocus myself and the content I do. So I got into gacha games, play a lot of Wuthering Waves, which just released, Zenless Zone Zero, which just released. Have a lot of history in Punishing Gray Raven, Genshin, Honkai, Guardian Tales, like dozens of gacha games. Full-time YouTuber, part-time streamer for fun, and that's about it.
Yeah, great. I was kind of looking through some of your stuff, and it looks like, correct me if I'm wrong, you had a main channel where you covered MMOs and kind of MMO news and like top 10 MMOs in 2024 type of stuff. And then you shifted to having a second channel where you cover some of like the Gacha gaming that you do with like Wuthering Waves and stuff. Is that right?
Yeah, because unfortunately, like as I said, MMOs are in a very bad state right now. We've had like one release the entire year.
Dude, it's rough, man. I mean, yeah, I come from the MMO scene, and it was just like, it was just such a staple, and it's so sad to kind of see it in this state. But I don't know, how do you feel about like Wuthering is a great example of one that I've just gotten to try recently that has some of the same like feel to it, but obviously it's not connected and all that. Like, how do you feel about the transition? Are you like psyched about it, or are you kind of like, oh man?
So interestingly enough, I actually did a video a couple months ago, and this video was not very well received. And it's because I stated in the video that Wuthering Waves is the best MMO that I have played in years, and it's not even an MMO. And what I meant by that was that it captures so many of the MMO features that players loved, but offers it in a single-player experience with multiplayer cooperative play as well. And I think offering so much of what made MMOs incredibly tantalizing, enthralling for players, but not having to rely on dozens of other or potentially dozens of other players, and being able to tackle it at your own pace, playing it for 5 minutes a day, 5 hours a day, not having to worry about a constant gear treadmill, not having to worry about falling behind and catching up to other players, just made it so much easier to maintain. I think, Wuthering Waves is a great example of what MMOs could technically be if the studios that were making MMOs cared enough to innovate.
It's funny. Do you feel like one of these studios is kind of gearing up to do just that? That's kind of what it's kind of what it looks like with some, Hoyoverse and some of these other companies. I know that's not Wuthering, but they've just been building this like library of assets, and they keep upgrading and upping it and upping it. At some point, you can't really up it anymore. Like if you look at, it was like Honkai versus Genshin. I'm forgetting the ordering now, but there's not a big a big difference anymore. It was like there were big differences early on. There's not a big difference anymore. Really, the only other place to go, in my mind, is either a totally different genre, right, or like an MMO. Do you feel like that's something that they're kind of pushing towards?
It's funny that you mentioned that because Hoyo, who make Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, Zenless Zone Zero, are in the process of making a Honkai-inspired MMO set within the Honkai universe. So you are 100% correct. That is the natural progression of the genre. Yeah. We started at MMOs, went to gacha games. Now we're having a gacha MMO.
Now we're back. Well,
they're like go full circle.
It's funny because like Dirk's been pushing. He keeps going like pushing me like, dude, you got to get on Wuthering. Got to get on Wuthering. And I the more I've gotten to play like a little bit. I haven't, my schedule is just like silly recently, but I've gotten to play it recently a little bit, and I think you're right. It captures so many of those moments, but being able to come in and like as you get busier or like older or whatever, it is nice to be able to just pop on for a second and just get something done, or even get all your dailies. I mean, Dirk, you were saying like what, 8 minutes you can get your dailies done.
You get like you can spend all the way plates you need to and do all your daily chores all within like it's like a 5 to 10 minute range. Mm-hmm. That's not bad at all. So that was at the very least, if you want to have that like feeling of like, I got my chores done, I don't got time to play anymore, but at least I'm like progressing. That's all it takes, like 5 to 10 minutes, and you're in and out. But if you want to play more, there's just like infinite crap you can do. Like I didn't even realize, I'm like, why can't I go to any of these zones? It's all like, oh, there's some chaotic fog that stops you. And I'm like, what is happening here? Apparently there's a whole like exploration quest chain to like unlock these zones.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't done any of that. And I'm like, geez, this is like endless things you can do, but you don't have to. And yeah, it's nice that it's not so demanding of your time. And that's, I think, one of the issues with MMOs is they're like, all right, we built this huge world. How do we make people play in it?
To live in that world now. Yeah.
You're going to be, you've got 4 hours of
has Wuthering been falling off? Like it seems like it had this massive peak, like it always happens. Diablo 4 and Wuthering, they all have this insane peak. Pal World recently, and then they just crater. So I know you guys probably know, Dirk and STIX, you probably know a little bit better than me. Has Wuthering been maintaining okay, or have they just been plummeting?
I'm sure it's gonna like ebb and flow with character releases, and I mean they just went with double waifus in a row with Jinshi and then Changli. Changli's like she's the big little wifer there, so I'm sure they're doing financially well with their.
They're doing just fine financially.
Yeah, in terms of revenue,
super fun.
In terms of revenue, Yinlin had higher gross revenue than Jian had. So the second limited banner character had more than the first. And then they released the Jinsa banner, which was actually lower than Yinlin's, but Changli's banner, which launched, I think it was like 4 days ago, like earlier this week, actually had higher revenue than Yinlin's banner, which means that theoretically, since more people were spending, that means more people are actively in game.
Right.
Like, that is a logical conclusion you could definitely draw from that. So in theory, and another instance here is that I do Wuthering Waves videos at least once a week, and every single video I've done since launch has hit a minimum of 40 to 50,000 views. That has not changed. So interest in terms of viewers is still 100% there.
Yeah.
So there's been no like disinterest or reduced interest. Revenue is at an all-time high. So I feel like that means that in theory, lots of people are still very interested in the game.
And so, I mean, Dirk mentioned this, the waifu concept. I know this is a topic that we wanted to try to cover here. What are your thoughts? I mean, you play a lot of these games. You've played, you played Watcher, I think. Have you played Watcher?
I did a bit, yeah.
You played Watcher. Yes. So that's like the fantasy end of the waifu spectrum, and then they've got the, actually all of these games basically do this, where they accentuate everything. I guess I don't know how else to put this. They definitely sexualize, these
very exaggerated
these characters. Exactly.
You played Watcher recently during the anniversary event with Nora. I think hers was like. Yeah, I don't know if you recently played Watcher of Realms.
No, I played both Dragoneer and Watcher of Realms when they launched because I was sponsored to.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So, I played each for like I think about 2 weeks and then stopped and then moved on to other games because, that's technically my job. I got to keep moving through games as fast as possible.
Yeah.
While they're relevant.
What? Yeah. But are you noticing like that things are just like stagnant with like it's like all the same tricks, all the same like waifu tricks, and it's just repeated and people just kind of eat it up, and it's like, yeah, well, this is just the way it is in anime games? Or do you feel like it's kind of like trending towards like, all right, well, how can we even more maximize, maybe going even too far? Like, I don't know, how do you feel about that?
I think that companies, as of the last year, have begun to realize that sex sells, and that a character's sex appeal is going to 100% affect how much that character makes, and then how much your game is going to make, and that is going to determine whether your game is a success or not. I don't know if you guys know about Snowbreak Containment Zone. That was a gacha game that released, I think it was at some point last year. It dipped to about $200,000 in revenue. It was a third-person action shooter gacha. It did terribly. It bombed so hard. They like cut English voice acting from the game.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they were doing everything they could to try and stay afloat, and then they decided, we're gonna put really lewd waifus in game with, very revealing outfits, and we're gonna have them make lots of like ASMR moaning sounds. We're going to implement a marriage feature.
Wow.
Yeah, so you can marry your waifu.
Okay.
A dorm feature that allows you to directly interact with the character, the waifu in the dorm, and it shot up from $200,000 to over $10 million per month. I mean, there you go.
I'm trying to get some bunny honeys in our game. They're like, no, they got to be like realistic looking. So they're trying to make like the Easter bunny.
So this is an interesting question, because like so Dirk, what's your? I mean, let's just go around. Like let's get everyone's take on this, because the reality is, this is not, gaming is now entertainment. It is the largest entertainment by a long shot, right? So there is going to be that whole spectrum, and no one's trying to sell. Hopefully not. No one's trying to sell this to kids either, right? Or at least not everybody is.
You can sell some bunny honeys to kids.
Well, okay, that's fair enough. Anyway, let's just get your opinion, everyone's opinion on it. So I won't give my full opinion. But Dirk, what do you think? What do you think on bunny honeys / waifus?
Yeah, I mean, so I guess if your game is like, you don't want to like ruin the identity of your game by all of a sudden like 180 and be like, hey, we were this kind of a game, but now we're like a girlfriend.
I don't know. I heard 200K to 10 million. That's what I'm hearing. That's what they went
if your game is dead and there is no identity of the game because it essentially doesn't exist, then it's almost just like, yeah, why not come at it from a different angle? Although I do think we definitely got to ramp up we've got two factions. I guess we won't say their names, but they're prime real estate.
No spoilers. No spoilers.
Yeah. So we got to take advantage of that.
Okay, so we have a yes to waifus from Dirk. What do we got? What do we got, Brad?
I mean, yeah, obviously, I mean,
Okay.
like, I feel like we went through this period, in gaming, mainstream gaming, at least for sure, where there was a lot of cope. Like, oh, come on, we don't need attractive characters in our game. We're gonna do it differently. And I mean, some things never change.
Succinct.
Like sex sells isn't some new concept. Like that's always been a thing. Like so, yeah, I think it's common sense personally. But like, I feel like there's a large area in the middle. From being like hyper cringe, crazy jiggle physics to like, let's go the opposite direction and have no attractive characters in our game. I feel like there's a very wide range in the middle where
Diablo 4 Druid.
Yeah, where it's perfectly normal.
Yeah, you don't have to be egregious with it.
Well, so and what do you think? So like on your end, STIX, are you like, does it make you kind of cringe and laugh, but then you play anyway, or is it like, yeah, I'm down. This is great. Whatever. This is the genre.
Whenever I do polls for the big booba waifu characters, my viewership quintuples. So there are so many people that are sitting there just waiting to see my reaction when the waifu appears on the screen. And then immediately when I obtain the waifu, they all just leave. They're like, okay, we got his reaction. There we go. We're done. So
you're kind of hoping, you're like, man, I hope this takes a long time. Let's give me some time with the viewership, with the hangout. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, exactly. Draw it out, you know, slowly react to things one by one. Okay, that's a single weapon. Yeah. Oh, no, that's terrible. Okay, let's move on to the second weapon out of 10. Yep. Oh, no, that's terrible. Yeah, draw it out. Get as many views
So
as
you're
possible.
so really what you're saying, hot take from STIX, is you want super low drop rates in these games. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, no, I am rewarding with as many.
I won't throw you into that bus. I'm just kidding. No,
but I'm glad you mentioned that, because I remember when I was covering Raid Shadow Legends, I would get these sponsorship deals from some of these more, you know, waifu gacha level games, and they would be, you know, the sponsor deal would, you know, they give you like a script or something they want you to like say during the integration, and they would want me to like pull a character and be like, oh my God, look at her outfit. It's getting hot in here. And I had to be like,
scripted for you? No way.
I had to be like, guys, I'm not saying this. Like I'm not doing this. Like, I will do the sponsorship if you let me speak normally. I'm not going to go, oh my God, look at her. Like, I'm just not going to do that. So.
That cracks me up, because I can imagine that it was someone's job then to send you that brief. And they were like, hey, what do people... What do people want to hear?
I want that to be my job, by the way. Oh.
Moving from designer to wordsmithing,
marketing, I guess.
I don't even know. Like, what is that job? That's so funny. Like, I don't know. Like for me, I'm kind of in the same boat, where it's like, if it fits with your character theming, it fits with your world. It's like, you know, it shouldn't be coming in to a place like a really dark and serious toned game. That's not going to make any sense, right? Obviously. And it shouldn't be for a kid's game. But I think everywhere else it's like, listen, if this fits your aesthetic and it fits your style, I don't know, man, it's just art. Like, it's just art. And if people don't like it, they just won't buy it. Like, that's the kind of the other thing, that the other direction to think about it is like, if people aren't interested in this, then it will fail. You know, like a lot of people complain about the algorithm. It's like, just remember, we are the algorithm. Like, human nature, sadly, right now is the algorithm. So if you're putting something, if you've decided to click on something, like, you've decided that you like it, that you are telling the rest of the world, yes, do more of that. And I don't know, for me, it's like, if people don't like it, then don't buy it, don't pick it up, don't be interested in it. But I think it just has to fit. That's the one requirement for me. It has to fit, like I think kind of what Dirk said. It just has to
if
fit
it fits,
with
go
whatever.
for it. Yeah, 100%.
Really,
if you can get away with it, then 100% implement it.
So that's a different take. Now we're shifting it a little bit. But I mean, Watcher, I do feel like recently, like, Dirk, you were showing me like what they were doing.
Nora was ridiculous. That one was like, I mean, I guess maybe it was their year anniversary character.
It was like a present
celebration character, but they had its own like mini cutscene for when you're like looking at the character in your roster, where it was just like zooming in on her features, and it was like, I guess all of them. I don't know. They just decided
all of them. Yeah.
They removed that, didn't they? You went to show us, and they removed it.
Oh yeah, I'm wondering why. I'm assuming it was just like too much. Like, it probably was going to put their game into a higher rating.
It must have just been a rating thing. Like that's the other thing you have to like watch out for, I guess. But I don't know.
Like,
that surprises me that
like in charge of the rating, like, okay, this is, guys, come on.
I mean, even like Lust, dude. Lust was like.
Lust Nora was like a whole new level. It was
really.
Lust was tame. She just had little tassels, but that's not that different than what you.
She was essentially naked, right? Basically just naked. And then, I mean, they went like, okay, guys, the physics numbers we're gonna have here, just make it really
Nora,
out of control.
Like,
it's like, yeah. Well, yeah, that's true. I forgot you showed us like the cutscene. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, it starts off with you can be like groped by tentacles. You're like, it said Watcher, right? What?
Yeah.
What's on my phone?
That's kind of an example of a game like where it didn't quite fit. You're like, there hasn't been any of this before. You had like serious fighting.
Right. It wasn't like a nudge in that direction. It was like.
So what I'm hearing is you guys are strongly debating whether you want to implement this in your game. That's what I'm getting from this.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely. I think we need more of it, to be honest.
I agree. I 100% agree.
I'm glad that we have Susie on our side now too, because
Yeah, Susie always check
that's the
marked
one
it. She's
thing is,
like, yeah.
we don't have any women, or not many women, I guess, on the project. So then all the guys will start to be like, well, women wouldn't like this. And then all of a sudden you get Susie in there. She's like, I love that. You're like, hey,
You're like, all right, we have a check mark here. No, I mean, it's not like, I don't think it's debate. I don't think it's debated. There's going to be sex appeal in the game, right? There's no question. Like, we have to have that, not because we need sex appeal in the game, but because these characters should be sexy. Like, and I say that word, I'm using that word in more than just like the way that we're thinking right now. I'm more like even really muscular or interest, or just like charismatic or interesting or badass. Like, that's sexy. Badass is sexy too, in a sense, right? Somebody that where you're like, damn, that guy's like,
yeah, so of course, like, I don't know.
Yeah, there's Chads, exactly. So like, I think there's no question it's going to be there. It's this spectrum of like, where do you land, and which characters and how many of your characters are going to be like that, you know? Like, is that a factor for you? Like, if let's use an example. Let's say there was an anime game where, I think it's Nikkei is a game that's basically like this, where it's like all the characters are literally
only lolly waifus, and there's not like one serious character in there.
So like, do you consider that like, okay, we've gone too far, or are you just like, nah, whatever, this is fine?
Nikkei is actually one of my main gacha games that I play.
We brought the right man on.
Interestingly, not for the reason that you're thinking. I do genuinely think that Nikkei has a phenomenal story and voice cast. They're not what initially, drew me into the game, but they're definitely what kept me around, because there are a lot of gacha games that just throw, provocative character models and character animations and actions in your face. But Nikkei does like so much more than just that to keep you interested and engaged. But with regards to whether it's a little too much, it definitely can be. Some of their events this year have been borderline full explicit nudity with a little bit of steam covering the characters.
Where it's just like, it's like a little cloud is floating by, or and then like their newest character, Crown, she just kind of had a bathrobe that just kind of went just down there, centered enough. So there are point, and it is also a shooting game, so you see everything from kind of like a third person perspective, and a lot of the characters are very scantily clad, and it can definitely, for some of the characters, be a little bit excessive. Not that deters anyone from playing it. It's still in the top 5 highest grossing gacha games every single month. Well, that's the thing, because like, I mean, and I think you're right. There's 2 elements to it. Like one, like what I said before, with like, it becoming entertainment. Like, this is entertainment now, right? This is the way that people get their entertainment. It's all basically on their phones anyway, whether it's YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or games. Even the way that they consume anime, in a sense now, which is basically what like Honkai Star Rail is, like, effectively just, we're doing or even Wuthering in some ways. It's like a playable anime. Like, you run around, you do some stuff, and then it goes to the next like scene. And like in a lot of the older gachas, I would just be like, skip. I don't want to see that. Hurry up. It's so boring. Now that's like what you're sitting there watching. You know what I mean? Like that, you're like,
point of the game now.
Yeah, it's the point of the game. So like, that's one element, right? Where I think that if people connect with the characters and they like seeing those characters, and they have good content and they make it good quality, fine. But then you have to keep the players there, right? It can't be a trash game. It has to be still engaging and worth your time. I don't know, to like actually grind and get the next character. So like, are we then seeing? I guess the question is this the direction everything's going to go now? Is it going to be like all? Because if you really break it down, that's what's going to win, right?
Well, it's especially the anime games. I know they usually say like the waifus will sell like double the revenue of male characters. But I don't know. I still need some of the male characters. Like in Wuthering, I was playing Calchero, Yinlin, and Verena for a while. So that's like, you got Sephiroth with like main DPSing with his 2 babes. And like, if I'm playing that team and my wife walks by, it looks like I'm playing a respectable game, right? Because at least
because there's at least one guy.
I mostly have Sephiroth on the screen, and I just got the babes coming in for support.
Until you use Yinlin's ult.
Yeah, oh yeah. Now, my team has recently switched to Encore, Chong Li, and Varina. So now I've got 2 lollies, and then like the big boobed one there. And it's
right.
there's no situation my wife could look at me playing this, and
or you kind of have to like hide it. Like this is secretly the issue, like why everyone is separating from each other, because they're too embarrassed to show anybody around them what they're playing.
You get some kind of like, I need a real character back in the mix again. It's like this team it's good and it's very fun to play, but it just at a quick glance, it's a little embarrassing.
Thankfully for me, this is my job. So
right here.
It's work. I'm sorry.
Yeah, babe, I'm so sorry. I have to look at the big booba waifus. It's making me money, you know? That's what paid for a trip.
They sent me the script. I have to say this.
What's going on, man?
Well, so have you ever been sent like a kind of a script like that where you've had to do something like
7 out of 10 of my sponsorships really like that, and 7 out of 10 of them I turned down. I turned down every single one that requires I follow a script. There have been instances where they've sent me an entire 14 paragraph 6-page script, and they just want me to read it verbatim, exactly what they've said to the camera, and make it seem like it's me saying it. And I'm just like, there ain't nobody that's gonna believe that I actually said that.
Oh my gosh, look how cool that is.
Look at those things about it. Like sponsorship. It's because they like your content and know that you're able to reach people and influence them into trying out a game. And if you all of a sudden start reading a script, it's going to completely break this. I don't know why they'd even want you to do that in the first place,
because they want to control the narrative. And a lot of studios, for whatever reason, have this weird impression that they understand your audience better than you do. I did a sponsorship recently. I won't name the game, but they reached out and they asked me, "Hey, STIX, we want you to do this. We want you to do a full dedicated video on this game. It needs to be at least 8 minutes long. It was a newly released game." So I was like, "Yeah, sure, it sounds great." I was actually going to play it anyway. So then they had me do the entire video. I sent them the script, and then they go, "So about your script, the entire thing needs to be changed because, we don't want you to give your impressions of it. We actually want you to say all of this and talk about only this." And I'm like,
only say it's great and nothing is wrong with it, right? And you're like, hey.
Well, they were like, "We don't want you to cover, the combat. We don't want you to cover how the game looks. No, we want you to cover the classes. We want you to cover this specific character. We want you to cover only this region and the story. We don't want you to cover the side stories. We don't want you to cover anything else." And I'm like, so what am I even doing in the video? Like, I'm literally going to sit down and not discuss anything that I'm doing, anything that I'm seeing, anything I'm experiencing. And then they were very determined to have me only talk about what they wanted to. And after 2 weeks of back and forth, they finally admitted, or they finally allowed for me to do what I wanted with the video. It got 60,000 views. Did fantastic. Retention was great. And I was like, see, for future reference, you should just let creators handle their videos, address their audience in their own way. And they were just they just left a smiley face as a reply. And I was like, okay.
Wow.
I can't wait. You guys learned something from this experience.
I can't wait for us to send STIX a script for our game.
That's right. Did you know how organic it looks though? When you send the same script out to everyone, so you see all these channels that don't obviously they don't need to play the game, and they're like, "Oh, and my favorite character is Dark Elf Hain. I like it because she can control the elements of ice and shoot arrows." And you're like, "Oh, good lord!" What?
That's the script we sent him earlier. Actually, 4 different
YouTubers throughout that week all say their favorite character is Dark Elf Hain, and you're like, "Okay, I love the script, you guys."
No. So they're probably way more efficient than that. They'll probably be like, "Dirk, your favorite character is going to be Dark Elf Hain."
No, I've seen these scripts because I watch.
It's the same one. That's pretty.
I've been watching non-gaming ones, especially the best were like watching like different military channels and stuff. And you know, Raid will sponsor anyone. So also you'll have like some guy who was like a former like Green Beret, be like, in this episode sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends, and you'll go into the spiel, like, play with a bunch of other people in the realm of Teleria.
In fairness, I can see. So I'll play the devil's advocate here. I understand why they do that for some creators, because like like you're talking about this individual.
Yeah.
They've probably never played the game, and they probably never will. So they're just like, just give me a script.
It sounds so funny. My favorite character, and that's what you said. Like you get the same scripts like that where they want you to talk about a character or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like for some reason that's like the script formula all these games use.
Yeah,
and it just I don't know. Like Raid Shadow Legends is somewhat of a meme. And I know they're very successful in their marketing campaign, had incredibly wide reach, but they are a meme, and that script is a big reason for it.
Is it regionality, you think? Like is it certain? So like, you know, American company versus Israeli company versus Chinese company versus Japanese company. Like, do you see like some difference in kind of that style, like I guess some crossover in the style from the different regions, or is it just like it's just the company? It has nothing to do with the regionality. You know what I mean? You notice anything like that?
Me?
Yeah. Or any of you guys, or the two content creators.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
you get the office sticks, so yeah, you probably.
I would say it depends on the studio. Personally, I've done hundreds of sponsorships, and you know, some of them are very regimented, and some of them give you freedom. It just depends on who's running it and who you're dealing with. I haven't seen a consistent trend, but the last few years, the dedicated videos, I've gone through exactly the kind of scenarios he's talking about. I actually stopped doing dedicated videos. I just won't do them because I have to redo them 12 times, and it's never right. They won't let me do the video how I want. So I was like, only like 60-second integrations. That's it. I'm not doing dedicated videos anymore.
Yeah.
Integrations work well. They do, you know, on occasion tank your retention because people will, you know, like be watching the video, they'll see your integration and be like, oh god damn it, they'll just close out of the video. So it can definitely be detrimental to the potential success of your video 100%. But I have noticed that specifically with Chinese companies, they are very critical of your script, your video. They are they like hyper fixate on specific topics, and only those topics are allowed to be discussed, nothing else. The Korean gacha game studios and MMO studios I've worked with have been relatively hands-free. The Japanese ones I've worked with have been relatively hands-free. I've worked with some German, some British, and some American ones as well. They've all been relatively like, they follow, you know, a formula, but they're also mostly willing to let you do what you want with it. But those Chinese studios, man, like they're the ones that I get the most. And like, I don't have an agent or anything. Like I don't have an agency that like goes back and forth and negotiates and everything. So I have to sit down with them myself. So then like this can take days or weeks to finally convince them that I should be allowed to discuss what I want to. But it's pretty much only the Chinese companies that are like that.
It's funny. I wonder if it's just like the approach that, you know, like I know the Chinese companies are very, very, I mean, all companies are data driven, but I think that they're even particularly so. So they might just be like, you know what, we've got this giant pool of data from all the other stuff, the past stuff that we've done with other people. These are the words that work the best across all, you know, just like an aggregate data set, right? And they might just be like, we don't really care what you think. We want you to be so like, but you're able to convince them. That actually kind of surprises me that you're able to, like, even after a couple of weeks, they're probably just like, fine, yeah, let's just go with it. Like, but
God, this guy's so annoying.
You will never give up. Never surrender STIX. I love it. But yeah, I wonder if it's just like, I don't know. What do you guys think? You think it's kind of like a data-driven approach? Because, I mean, that's probably, you know, to jump back to our previous topic, that's probably the same deal. The same reason that these things are happening, why things kind of trend in that direction. It's like, okay, well,
it has to be. I mean, they have people whose full-time jobs are to, you know, figure out, you know, how to maximize marketing and how to get the most downloads per view and where to advertise. So I'm sure there's, you know, just endless data on this by now with having the 12 years of digital algorithms and these kind of games existing.
Hell, they probably have like data on like hair color and bust size, and
I'm
like,
sure, yeah.
They literally have, they're like, yeah, I mean, because you got to think that, again, this is just an extension of anime, right? You know, if you look at a great example of this is One Piece. I mean, do you watch One Piece? Do you guys watch? I mean, I know Dirk watches.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So yeah, you look at Nami at the beginning of One Piece. You look at Nami at the end, towards the end of One Piece, and you can just see like that's not an accident. Well, what happened? We just our line just kept getting rounder, and they kept going further away from.
It's so slow, so you don't really notice it until you go back and watch an earlier episode. You're like, hang on a second. Like they kind of creeped it in like that, like the eBay yellow color, where it's just like, all right, we're gonna do this, but we're gonna do it so subtly you're not gonna.
Yeah, Nico. I mean, every single character really. Because I started watching with my 8-year-old One Piece, and I was like, that's not what Nami looks like. Because you know what I mean? So
Slowly change it.
Yeah, I think it's just an extension of anime. Like I don't know if these studios are actually. I haven't done the research, but I would suspect that just like they came in, that's what they did before was
it's their power creep. It's like
it's power creep.
In the 20-year life cycle of an anime, you got to somehow power creep your characters. So the ones you can't power creep, you got to just buff them as they go.
You just have to buff them.
Nami's received a lot of buffs. Like
yeah. Over the
Surprised
years.
you didn't ask STIX if he's seen Vinland Saga.
It is the most important question.
No, I have seen some of it. Yes.
What do you mean some of it?
Come on, how can you stop watching?
I begin anime and then I get carried away with content creation. Like I have such a small amount of time to actually like enjoy things. Like so people are often like, oh man, I wish I could do, and I'm sure you can relate to this. People are like, I wish I could play video games as a career. But when you're playing video games for 12 hours straight every single day, it's no longer being played for fun. They're instead being played for work and then no longer as a hobby. So you no longer enjoy them in the same way. Yeah. So I'm burning through so many hours just recording footage of all these different games so I can do videos on them, so I can keep up to date with them. So I can continue to do videos on updates and everything. And like I juggle dozens of different gacha games. I need to keep up to date with every single one of them. And
how do you handle that, man? Juggling all those gacha games. That's
what people ask me all the time.
a couple. I used to play like 2 raid accounts, and I think I was playing like one other game, and then it was like, okay, that second raid account is done. We're done here, and I just pushed it out of the. And then it was like, all right, that other game is done here, and it's like, how do you manage that? Like, how do you? I guess that's a good question. That's the question. How do you manage all that stuff?
2 phones, keep multiple instances of LD Player open, download the PC clients of games like Snowbreak, Nige, Wuthering Waves, have like 8 different instances total.
So you're just like clicking like your dailies on like 5 different windows. You're like, oh, it's
minimized windows, allowing things to continue playing and just alternating between each one to make sure that progress is being made, story is being cleared, dailies are being done. I just gotta like alternate between which games are present, and there's very little break.
Dude, that's intense, man. I know that at least it really is for like this is your job, right? Like I feel like if you have an additional job outside of it, like you work a 9 to 5 and you're trying to juggle all those accounts, because I know the people that do this, like where they'll be like they'll come home, or actually during the day, they hop off, they hop to the bathroom, they get in a couple runs, they go back to their desk, they flip their phone over, right? I mean, that's what you do, right? You flip their phone over, but that's one game. So like, I can imagine you're playing like, how many games are you playing right now? What do you think your number is?
Currently playing Snowbreak, Brown Dust 2, Nige, Punishing Gray Raven, Wuthering Waves, Genshin, oh god, what else? Guardian Tales, Blue Archive, Arc Knights, Path to Nowhere. Yeah, they're the only ones off the top of my head. So I'm playing like a minimum of 10.
All? Gosh.
Minimum of 10 every single day.
That's crazy.
That's ridiculous. Yeah. Like
I mean, different though. Like they're not all the same game, like a clone of themselves. So that's gotta help.
7 of them are different types of game. We got like tower defense games, strategy games. We got open world games, action games, turn-based games, story-driven games, autoplay, idle games. So they're all completely different. Thankfully, allow for me to not get too burned out.
That's funny. And Dirk, how many games are you playing right now? I'm wondering. This is Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
3, I guess, as far as like God, it's just Wuthering Waves, Watcher Realms, and then AFK Journey. But
Okay.
Oh, there we go. Number 11, AFK
11
Journey. I
AFK
forgot
Journey.
about that.
AFK Journey.
Yeah.
You mean
AFK Journey
not
is-
so AFK Journey?
this has taken a sad turn, man. So like the actual game of AFK Journey is kind of fun. Like we're just putting team together, you're fighting guys, but now you only do that like 5 minutes a day. And the other like 20 minutes a day is like, well, let's go pack some bags.
Core
and,
FK Journey, man. It is
herd
like
some chickens. Like what? And now they're adding in a fishing mode. I'm like, come on, just
wait,
Does this
fishing
take
mode.
away
No. They've jumped the shark. They've taken it too far. No
yeah, it's
fishing.
like only mini games now, and like not the actual game.
That's essentially Genshin Impact too.
All right. Yeah,
Yes,
this is
I've
like
heard.
They
bloody-
all do
with,
that now.
weird-
Like Diablo Immortal added fishing.
Well, this is what we were talking about. Like I forget. It was a couple episodes ago. We were talking about like no, Dirk has this crusade against picking flowers, right? I feel like that's half the games right now.
Withers getting on that a lot too. The worst is like once you start getting like your guys at higher levels and you have to ascend them, and you can't like just buy all you need from the souvenir shop anymore. You're like, okay, to go out, like set a block of time aside to go and pick flowers. Like with that being the goal, I'm like, oh, I'm not doing it right now.
But why do you accept it? I know that you deeply and passionately hate that. You've expressed it.
I got waifus that need to get leveled up.
Oh, okay. So you see, you just got to incentivize the people, and that's
He has
what it
his
comes
priorities
down to.
right.
Yeah, he has his priorities right. I mean, that's the thing. We joke about this, but really, it's just an incentive system. They've discovered that the waifus.
Yeah,
are...
I know. Yeah, the guy like he'll pick flowers for his waifu. He'll do it.
Where is the waifu?
He doesn't want to, but he will.
Well, that's what they do in AFK, right? The only thing you do you gather up to like presents, which is flower picking, to give to your guys to get the little. I don't even know if it does anything. You get like a couple gems.
It's silly
Just
from what
to
I can
see
tell.
I'm pleased. Like, thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What about you, Brad? What are you playing these days?
I have a much different flow than you guys. It must be my StarCraft background. Like I will pick something up and then I have to become good at it and I have to conquer it and then I will move on. So like we got into V Rising and I had to build an awesome castle and complete the entire game on the toughest difficulty and focus only on that. And then when that's done, I move on to something else. I can't do like 15 games at once. I'm either like practicing StarCraft 12 hours a day or Age of Empires 12 hours a day or whatever game I'm into. I'm going to clear that and then move on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No, I'm with you on that. Like one issue is
That's like the fighting game.
area now, so I haven't been able to play like a real game. That's why I'm only doing gotchas at the moment, and then basically just kind of like on minimal mode in those. So like Wuthering, with the exception of like a big content drop where I can go like, oh sweet, I can do this new thing with this character. It's mostly just like the 5-10 minutes a day. Other games is like Watchers, like going into my clan boss, and then if there's like an easy to pick up thing to farm real fast, like artifact material raid, I'll knock some of those out. Maybe do an arena run or two, but I'm like not even finishing quests. AFK, I could care less about that. Like I'm just doing like, again, bare minimum.
You're just trying to hold on in case they drop something cool.
Yeah, I know. That was like 7 months from now. I'll have like my Scarlita done. So it's like I won't let that get by me. So that was if the game all of a sudden like makes a 180 and doesn't suck, my account.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Decent.
But
it's like kind of minimum. I'm not pushing anything. The game I want to be pushing now is like Elden Ring, as far as like playing a lot.
Oh, you're back to Elden Ring?
yeah, the new content
the
drop.
DLC just came out.
Oh, that was the DLC. Yeah.
But I started on it, but I'm like, I need to have like 8 hours on like a weekend where I can just like sit through and just play.
Yeah.
And then like a couple days of doing that, of just no life yet, and I'm like, I can't at the moment because just like
no lifing is so hard. It was like such a thing. Like get a little bit of time, hide away from people, no life it, and then now people are relying us to get stuff done.
Once my wife goes back to school and I'm back home, right now I'm just like, she's got her internship out here like Seattle area.
When are you back, by the way?
Busy. Well, we're getting kicked out like 2 weeks early from our place. Apparently, like the place we're renting right now out here, they're booting out like 500 residents like 2 weeks ahead of schedule for some reason. So we're not really sure. I was coming back beginning of September, but it might be mid-August.
Might be mid-August.
Oh, okay. That's soon then. Well, I know we're kind of coming up to the end here, but one thing we like to make sure we get in here as a question, as a gut reaction, is we're kind of making a dark fantasy type RPG hero collector game. You're familiar with that kind of concept. And we're doing like myths and gods and legends from all the different cultures and stuff. Is there a certain god, myth, legend that stands out to you that you're like, hey, this is my thing. I would love to see them as like a legendary in your game and have a super epic kit. Is there something that's kind of a favorite of yours?
So I did actually see some of the stuff you guys are working on when I looked at your YouTube channel. I was linked to both your YouTube and your website, and I saw some of the designs and some of the characters you guys plan on implementing. They do look very cool.
Oh, thanks. Man.
But with regards to like mythological creatures or anything like that, I have a very, very strong passion for like Norse mythology, Egyptian mythology.
Nice. Okay.
I think, I don't know if any of you guys have played Dislight, the Gacha game Dislight. They very strongly lean into the exact same theme that you guys are leaning into with regards to the,
gods, myths, and legends,
creatures and everything. Yeah. And I think they have a lot of very interesting characters that pull from myths and legends. I don't really have anything like right off the top of my head. I just kind of like, become enveloped in all of it and love pretty much all of it. But I feel like if you guys have like an Egyptian faction or anything with regards to Egyptian gods, Egyptian mythological creatures, that'll be really cool.
We've got it. We've got
it. Sham's the one to confirm here.
Yeah, that's not even a leak. So we're good on that.
Yeah, fully confirmed. Yeah, we've
always play it safe, but just let Sham take those.
Yeah. We've got some. I think we've released like 2 or 3 of them at this point.
Like Ra, Osiris, stuff like that.
Stuff like that. I'm trying to remember which ones.
None of us can ever remember what's
exactly. We're like, wait, what have we talked about? But I will say, so this is the so we have 2 more questions. One's an easy one, and the second one's kind of the one we'll round out with. But Robin Hood, yes or no?
That depends. Is he gonna wear tights or
you listen? I can't taint the pool. Your decision. Do we bring Robin Hood into the game or don't we?
I think Robin Hood could be a very interesting character. 100%.
You heard it here, Simon and Dan. You heard it here. All right, and the last one is
have the British faction like Avalon. It's very heavily King Arthur influenced. But the funny thing is all the Americans on the team, and I think we've covered this in the past, but we all look at Robin Hood as being like a mythological, like legendary character. Like, this guy's awesome. Yeah, how could you not have him in a British like myths and legends game?
100%.
And the UK side of the team,
all the people in England, they're all like, no, this guy's a total meme. I don't know why you want him in there.
Well, I'm Australian, so I'm completely different.
That's right. So now we have Australia's blessing. That's what I've heard. You heard it here first. But last thing, what's next? What's next for you, man? What are you doing? What's next for you?
Prepping for Azure Premilia, Neverness to Everness, Arknight's Enfield, Project Mugen. They're all going to be 4 very large open world gacha games. We're going to have tens of millions of players. They're all going to be potentially as big as Wuthering Waves. I'm planning to cover all of them.
All of them.
All of them. Every single big gacha game that comes out, I will be there day one covering. I've built a very large following over the last couple months. I think my viewership is like quadrupled on my Gacha channel.
Wow.
And that's all thanks to like Wuthering Waves and Zenless and Azure Premilia pretty much. So Gacha right now, the biggest, I think, the most played, highest grossing like subgenre of gaming as a whole. What they bring in billions of dollars a year, tens of billions of dollars a year. I think Hoyo alone brings in like 2 billion just from Honkai and Genshin.
Yeah, it's like 25 billion in 2023. I know that just because we've been looking at the numbers recently. 25
that
billion
is crazy,
in 2023.
Yeah. So they're very lucrative market, and I understand that you guys are that's part of what you guys are getting into as well. So it makes perfect sense. This is the time to make the game. This is the time to get into Gacha. As a content creator and as a developer, as a studio and everything, like I feel like the Gacha genre is only going to grow from here as more people become interested in it, as Gacha becomes more mainstream. This is where it's going to be. So that is where my future is going to be. You know, the 11 games I'm playing right now is going to double in the next year, and I'm going to have a second and a third computer going just so I can micromanage
You'd be like
all the
walking
different
into
games.
the other one, like
It's gonna be like you're mining Bitcoin or something. Like
Almost like that, yeah. Maybe I'll have a second and a third channel and just kind of split up the games between each channel. I don't know.
it's amazing.
well, hey,
Well,
no, it was awesome chatting with you. Thanks for stopping by and sharing your perspective. And we will link down below to check out the amazing content that STIX is working on over there, keeping you in the loop for all of these different Gacha games. So on behalf of Sham and Dirk and the great STIX for joining us this week, we are taking off, and we will see you soon in the next Fateless podcast episode. Cheers.